All right, mathletes, we made it to chapter 3, and our first section here is 3.1. We're talking about lines and angles. We've talked about parallel lines before as being lines that do not intersect, right? But we want to be a little more specific. So parallel lines are coplanar lines that do not intersect, right? Whereas there's other type of lines that do not intersect, and those are called skew. And skew lines are lines that are not in the same plane; they're non-coplanar, but but they also are not parallel and they do not intersect. Okay, so an example would be like two planes that that are flying different directions, and they may cross paths where one flies over or under the other, even though they're not flying different, even though they're flying different directions. And in other words, they're not parallel. They also do not cross. Okay, so because they're on different planes, right? They're at different altitudes. So those would be skew lines. And then parallel planes are planes that do not intersect. Okay, so where you have a whole plane that is parallel with another plane, right? And those planes do not intersect. And then a transversal is a line that intersects two or more coplanar lines at distinct points. So you have two lines, right? And a transversal is a line that intersects those two lines. Okay, so the transversal will be the red line there. All right, so as we've seen in geometry, we know that symbols are important. So let's discuss some symbols in terms of parallel lines. So the double parallel bar there, or the double vertical bar, I should say, that denotes parallel. Okay, and so here we'd say line AE is parallel line with line BF, right? Line AD is parallel with line BC. So in this diagram here, AE is parallel with BF. Line AD is parallel with line BC, right? So we can see that. Also, you see in the diagram that we show arrows, right? So notice that it's kind of hard to see, but we have these little arrows. So BC and AD have two arrows, so they're parallel with each other, right? And then if you notice, line AE has one arrow, and so does line BF, so that means that they're parallel with each other, or with one another. Okay? All right, so just to show some skew lines here, we can see that line AB and line CG, so line AB here is skew with line CG, right? So they don't intersect, but they're also not parallel, right? So they're on different planes, and they do not intersect. All right, and then finally, we can see that we have two planes, plane ABC right here, right? And plane EFG are parallel. All right, and here's just another slide just to show what we just talked about. This is our symbol for parallel, and then when we want to show that two lines are congruent on a diagram, then we can mark them with these arrows, right? And so if they have the same number of arrows, then they're parallel to each other. Okay, so remember, congruent, we use tick marks, right? And once again, same number of tick marks indicate that two lines are congruent. With parallel lines, we use the arrows.